That's when I first heard about like white lighters. Like everyone was like, "Whoa, you bought a white lighter? Like you can't have that." Like
Really?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, "You don't take that." And I was like, I kind of just accepted it. I didn't really know what it was for the longest time. The white lighter is something that was found on like Kurt Cobain, on like Amy Winehouse, and like these musicians when they died. Apparently,
Wow.
I don't know how much I believe in it, but
Yeah.
it was like. It's kind of just bad luck. The first record I bought was "I'm With You" by Avril Lavigne.
Wow.
The single, like
Really?
with the 2 tracks, and
Yeah.
I had that like insanely on repeat. And I would open the windows in my apartment and like scream it out at the street at like 8 or 9 p.m. before I'd go to bed. Like the neighbors would be like, "Shut up."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any record should be listened
Right?
to on shuffle. Like, let's be fucking real.
This week on Upgrade Sounds, I spoke to VIJI, aka Vanilla Jenner, and we discussed everything about her brand new album So Vanilla and what life is like as a touring musician. Welcome to Upgrade Sounds. What is your earliest memory when it comes to music?
I think there's a few. My dad is an instrument builder, so I feel like there was always music around. So I can't really pinpoint a certain memory, but he always like picked up an instrument, like the guitar or something, and played it to us. Even before like I bought a record myself, I think I was like 7 or something. He gave me like a record, his first record, which was "Help" by the Beatles.
Wow. It's
So I
fast
think-
record.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I probably listened to that like up and down like a lot.
Really?
So yeah, probably around there.
Okay. And so he gives you that record. What happens? Like you play it all the time. You know, does that breed a natural curiosity for music? How does it kind of go from there?
Yeah, I think it was just I mean I didn't speak English yet or anything.
Really?
So, but I was so fixated with the melody and just like trying to sing whatever they're singing. So sometimes I'd see like, and even with my little sisters, like I see like childhood like videos, and they're singing songs in English, even though they have no idea what they're saying. And same with me, I would just like get obsessed, and I would just play like the record on repeat. And I kind of still do that, like with records that I really like. I kind of obsessively listen to them.
Wow. How many languages do you speak?
3.
Okay. They
Yeah.
are English.
German first, English, and Portuguese.
Wow.
In that kind of order.
Okay.
Fluency.
Oh, dope. And then, what were the sort of first records that you bought and that you explored yourself to kind of lead you on, you know, your musical journey?
The first record I bought was "I'm With You" by Avril Lavigne.
Wow.
The single, like
Really?
with the 2 tracks, and
Yeah.
I had that like insanely on repeat. And I would open the windows in my apartment and like scream it out at the street at like 8 or 9 p.m. before I'd go to bed. Like the neighbors would be like, "Shut up." And I don't know what drove me, but I just like I had the CD player and I played it, and I was just I didn't care.
So very musical household I'm getting from this.
Yeah, pretty much.
You
like
know-
music like my dad's side, there's a lot of musicians. My mom's side, more like music lovers.
Right. Okay. And, you know, when was the first time you picked up an instrument, be it guitar or like, was it guitar you started learning on?
I started learning classical guitar, I think at like 6 or 7 I started taking lessons. But yeah, like, you know, the nylon strings
Of
and the like
course.
picking and
Yeah.
like the thing where you put your foot on.
Yeah.
And then I think I switched to acoustic guitar after like 3 or 4 years, and then I started electric guitar and singing kind of just on the side. But whenever like when I started playing acoustic guitar, I would start writing songs like already, because I was just like, oh, I can play like 4 chords now, and that's a song.
Yeah. What were some of those early songs that you wrote, like, you know?
I mean, pretty basic.
Yeah?
Like 4 chords, like very, very traditional structure, kind of like pop stuff. I listen to a lot of pop punk, so I think just like that, like very pop structure was internalized.
Because that's something I think in your music I do hear a slight pop punk influence, but I feel like you're going down kind of a different you know, different type of road. Is this your first project? Have you had different musical projects before?
I've had, yeah, I mean, like, I've had a few different projects, but none that, like, I released more than, like, one song under.
Mm-hmm.
They're all, like, pretty similar-ish. Like, I think they used to be a bit more pop than it is now. Like, I kind of reverted. It started out very guitar-y,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went, like, more pop, and then I kind of came back to the guitars.
Mm-hmm. So how do we start to discover VG? Where does that come from? How do you start building that world?
I think it was when I moved to London, and I just started like writing, and it was like during the pandemic, almost like late like 2019, sort of the fall 2019 into like 2020 is when I was writing for the first like EP, and like so I don't know, I was like, before that I was doing kind of pop music, and then I was like, this is not me, like let's like go back to what I like, and I was playing guitar more. I like bought a few new guitars, which is always like inspiring to have like a new instrument. And yeah, it was kind of like just from there, I was like, it was very bedroom as well, very bedroom pop. I like recorded and demoed everything at home, and so yeah, kind of just went off from there. And then transitions like through the EPs, they all had like a little bit of a different angles, an angle. I was still like trying a few things, and then it kind of got glued together with
What
the
type of
album.
angles did you change?
I think the first one was like very basic. The focus has always kind of been around my voice more so than the instruments.
Right.
So the first EP was like, very stripped back, like mostly drum machines. And the second EP, we started adding more drums. It was more like 2000s, like OC California, like those kind of like soundtracks of like TV shows. And like Death Cab for Cutie and that. And then the third one, I went more pop with it. I had like, I introduced synths and stuff, which I like didn't really do that much in the previous ones. And then I was writing for the album for quite a long time. And kind of,
How long?
I mean, I think like between finishing the third EP and like finishing the album, it was like a year and a half.
Okay.
But there's also songs on the album that I started way before that. I think the oldest song was like 3 years or something.
What is the oldest song on the album?
I think it's White Lighter.
Okay.
Which was a very basic, super detuned guitar, horribly jarring demo on my laptop that lived there for a long time.
And I noticed you've just released the acoustic version to White Lighter, and it has a really strong message or like kind of like lore about it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very interested to hear how that all came together for you.
I think the lyric-wise, it was a story that kind of evolves. I lived in Colorado for my sophomore year of high school, and that's when I first heard about like white lighters. Like everyone was like, "Whoa, you bought a white lighter? Like you can't have that!" Like,
really?
Yeah, they're like, "You don't take that." And I was like, I kind of just accepted it. I didn't really know what it was for the longest time. And then I kind of found out afterwards, and then it's like tied to like the 27, like the 20 Club 27, and then like a lot. I think it got adapted by like the weed culture of like like you never have a white lighter, and the white lighter is something that was found on like Kurt Cobain, on like Amy Winehouse, and on these musicians when they died. Apparently, I don't know how much I believe in it, but it was like. It's kind of just bad luck, and the lyrics evolve around like sort of a love story that happened around that time, with tied in with that like bad luck or the kind of like shadow that's like sitting.
So let's the album as it stands. I want to talk about it. The 12 tracks that we have there and the order. And just how it comes together. So let's dive into So Vanilla. Why is it called So Vanilla?
I thought it would be kind of funny because my real name is Vanilla Jenner, to have like a self-titled album, but
Sure.
instead of it being VG by VG, it'd be like So Vanilla by VG.
Mm-hmm.
And like Vanilla by VG, but then more like So Vanilla, because I thought it just like had a better ring to it.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, how did you start pulling everything together? I know you talked about the length of time and, you know, White Lighter being the first track on that. But after that, when did you start pulling, you know, the music together, and when did it start taking shape? And
I mean, it very much started when I started writing with Dan Carey, just on the off chance. I don't know. We weren't really writing for anything. I think when we did meet and we started writing, it was like very clear. It's like, oh, this is the sound that I want to have for my album. So then, you know, we just started writing more and more songs, and like, you know, I don't know, a lot, like 10 or 12 songs already. And then we kind of like picked what the base of the album is, and which was like I think 5 songs or something from those sessions we used on the album. And then the others I pulled from like demos that I did at home, or like other like sessions, or like White Lighter. It was a very, very old demo, but that was pretty late on in the process that I kind of thought like, what is missing on the album for me? Because like grown up listening to albums from start to finish, like I really put a lot of like importance on like the order and like the variety of the music on the album. So I kind of after that like started picking, oh, I want this kind of mood, like do I have something, or do I need to write something? And like after that it kind of came clear.
I think order of an album is so important, and I think it's something that a lot of people might skip over. Like, to me, this doesn't feel like a record that should be listened to on shuffle. Did you kind of intend to make it the way? Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any record should be listened
Right?
to on shuffle. Like, let's be fucking real. Oh my god, whoever does that is either the only way I can respect it if you've listened to the record so many times that
you know it
you
inside
just want to like switch it up. But if you go in and you listen to a record on shuffle, then that's really, really weird.
You reckon? Like,
yeah, because like, why would you do that? The artist has intended and put a lot of thought and work into the track listing. Like, for what reason would you put it on shuffle?
Is there like an overarching journey or message through this record then that you were trying to put across to your fans?
Not like so much of a message than like a journey. But not a journey, just a musical like journey. I wanted everyone like sound every song to like flow like well. So it was very much like a jigsaw thing at the start, where it's like, okay, does this go after this, and then you listen to the end of the song and the start of the new song, and then you just like shuffle it around like a lot of times until it fits.
And when did you know what the final order was? Was there a specific moment where you just felt like, yeah, this is done? Like,
yeah, I mean, it was definitely after we got the masters back, I think, like, then, or actually, no, it was the mixes, because then the masters, you decide, like, how long of a gap do you want type of thing, and, like, I think after 1850 and To Say Hi, there's, like, almost no gap.
Okay. Let's talk about Sedative. I think this was the first track I heard off the album. I think it might have been one of the first or second tracks that I supported on the radio. It's one of my favorite songs by you. I think it's a brilliant track, you know, very well made, very musically well composed. Lyrically, I think it's a brilliant track as well. So what were you kind of going through when you wrote Sedative?
I mean, the music was it was a track that came together really easily and very quickly in like every sort of way. Like, it was again one that me and Dan wrote the instrumentals, like and we started on that like synth, like the kind of like synth that keeps on like the monotone thing in the verses. And we pretty much had the sections, and then I think Dan went to do like a Zoom or like an interview or something in the next room, and by the time he came back I had the melody and the lyrics.
Really?
And he was like, oh, okay. He was like, I was doing the interview talking about how to write songs, and you were in here writing a song. Like, this is a funny like situation we're in.
And then there's like this horn section, I think,
Oh,
towards
yeah.
is it the end of the middle eight, I think?
Yeah, it's in the middle eight.
Yeah.
That's actually an ambient machine. It's like I think it's a Russian like synthesizer,
Sure.
where it's like you have like a lot of different oscillators, and you can actually tune in your chords, and then you have like sort of like a key board where you can like put the chords onto the keys. But like manually, you can do any of that thing in like DAWs and on your computer with plugins, but it's just so cool to like have like a manual machine and being like, oh, let me just like dial in and you physically like detune like the little notes.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I think the song's like a great way to say I miss you without saying I miss you, you know?
It's kind of a petty I miss you.
Really?
Not petty, but like, like I hope you never hear this. I miss you.
Wow. Okay. I didn't get that from, like I didn't understand that. I guess that says more about me than it does about you, because,
No, I mean, it's everybody takes a song and they put it into their own context and like their own experiences. I do that a lot, so I'm happy when people have different meanings for it.
What was the song that you had the most fun writing on the record?
I mean, Sedative was fun. Down was really fun. Like all of the guitars, we layered like a lot of guitars like underneath each other.
It had a real like meaty grunge feel to it,
For sure. And I mean, karaoke actually was super fun too, because I played bass on this like huge Rickenbacker bass. And there's something about like, I think also that song was like, that was like a few weeks before actually recording the album. And we were just like finishing some bits of like pre-production, and I just started like picking up the bass in the last like 10 minutes and like doing the riff and being like like kind of silly, like mockingly, because we're all like losing our minds in the studio. And then Dan was like, wait, this is great. And it was just like goes into drums, and then we like jam it out for like 10 minutes. And
so dope.
That's because like that's pretty much the songs. It's just like one verse repeated and repeated for like a long time.
How did you come up with the intro for karaoke? Like I've seen you perform it live.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the screams at the beginning that I think are just so, like the texture of the song right at the beginning is so great.
I mean, it's a heavy like bass riff, and the bass is like very heavily like we put them through the gnarliest pedals.
Okay.
So it's like there's no like screaming. It's just like very distorted, but like a low rumbly like gross distortion, and then also like the synth comes in, like the kind of sub synth. So it's like a wave of like really low noise that's kind of like blended.
Isn't there some kind of high-pitched frequency over the top, though? I feel like I can hear that when I listen to it. Or do I just need to get my hearing checked?
I think it's just the bass and the drums at the start. But, like, in the first verse, there is, like, a higher synth that comes in.
Yeah.
It's not at the very start, but it is, like, kind of halfway through the first verse. That's, like, a little ghosty, like...
Yeah.
kind of thing.
What was the hardest song on this record to write?
I kind of come back to this saying probably ambient.
Okay.
It was one of the easiest for the instrumentals, and the guide vocals. Like we pretty much had a track like that was a track we wrote on the first day of like me and Dan ever like getting to know each other or writing, and so we had all of the instrumentals and the guide vocals, and then I went back to Vienna for like 4 or 5 weeks to like see family and over the summertime, and I was there, and I just couldn't wrap my head around the lyrics, because it's also again like it's a lot of verses into like an outro bit.
When you say you couldn't wrap your head around it, like you couldn't remember, or
no, I hadn't written them yet, so I was in Vienna writing the lyrics, but I didn't know where I wanted it to go, so I remember I wrote like 12 verses or something.
Damn.
And then I was like, again, like, where do I put them? And eventually got there because I fell in love with like the guide vocals and where it's set. So I was trying to match the lyrics also to the guide vocals without compromising like the message. But yeah, it was kind of a tricky one.
Wow. It feels like you just have your head so screwed on when it comes to writing music. Like it's clearly a calling, and it's clearly, you know, what you are meant to do. Is there anybody that you look up to as a songwriter?
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I think also with writing songs, it's definitely it comes in waves. Like, there's waves where you're really inspired and it doesn't feel like work at all, and then waves where I don't write out at all for like a year.
Really?
Yeah, like I write every now and then, but it's like I'm not fully immersed in it because you need to like experience stuff. But yeah, like songwriter wise, like obviously like Elliott Smith. I think just like his lyrics especially are insanely beautiful. His guitar as well. Like, but that's not something I can ever do at all, so I don't attempt it. But just listening to his lyrics and his storytelling has always been very enlightening.
When you say experience life, I'm assuming you mean go out and go have your, you know, like your literal experiences, and have a lot of those experiences influenced your music up to this point?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I mean, most of the stuff I write is from what I've lived. Or if not that, then if I watch a movie that I really liked, and, you know, I take away like a certain thing and I'm like, wow, this really touched me. And then I like look and I'm like, I figure out why. And then, you know, or same with like books, like any sort of art, like can kind of influence you, I think.
And it feels like a big part of your project is watching you live. You know, I've seen you live a few times now. It feels like you play everywhere, right?
I want to play more places.
You want to play more?
Yeah.
Take anything from this podcast, go and vote VG. Yeah. What have been some of your favorite live moments?
I mean, recently in America was really great.
Yeah. You did South by, didn't you?
Yeah.
How was that?
We did South by Southwest. It was cool. We played like a total of 10 shows.
Wow. That's a lot.
In 4 days, but really it was like 9 shows in 3 days because the first day we only played 1 show. It was really cool. It's like definitely a unique experience because it kind of feels like one big rehearsal. But there's definitely some of the shows were really cool, and we played one for Smart Punk Records. And the show was really good. The sound was really good. It was like it was on the last day, so there was like this. Like, we did it, kind of like filtered, and then Shure microphones, they were like, come with me, and they like had like an engraved microphone for me, and I was like,
no
whoa.
way.
Like, that was crazy.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You still have that?
Yeah. It's just like a 58, but it says VG on it, and I was like, that's crazy.
That's so cool. Oh man, that must have been such a great, unique experience.
Yeah, it's really cool, but I love, I love touring a lot. I love my band that I have for live a lot. They're great. They're like, you know, my best friends. And
you've got some talented musicians in that band.
Yeah.
I have to give some plaudits to Susie, because I think she's great as well.
She just touched back down in London today, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out Susie, you know, for real. Yeah, the pair of you make great music that I never thought I'd be able to hear or support on the radio. So, like, you know, thank you for creating such fantastic sounds. You know, what's next for you? It feels like, you know, we've got the album. You've just come back from South by. What can we expect?
I've been kind of releasing some remixes and acoustic versions of songs in the album that kind of will tie into like let's call it like a deluxe for the sake of it.
Dope. When's that dropping? Or can you not say?
In the summer.
Okay.
Yeah. So we still have like a few remixes, a few like acoustic sessions which we're filming. And yeah, just more live shows, like playing in France next week and doing like a bunch of festivals around the UK in May. And probably, hopefully more like...
Which festivals? Or can you not say?
Sound City.
Okay.
In Liverpool, we're playing like the Bearded Theory Festival.
Sure.
And London Calling in Amsterdam as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hopefully just like more shows over the summer. We're looking at tours for the fall. And I'm going to, I'm currently writing again.
Amazing.
So album number 2 at some point.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me and taking the time out your day.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Always appreciate you. Thank you.
Yay.